This is the critique for the motion assignment. And please, with this assignment and next week's assignment, don't get frustrated with some of the technical aspects of it, especially if you don't have a lot of control with your point and shoot camera. I'm a lot more lenient on this assignment and the depth of field assignment, just because I know some cameras don't actually allow you manually to put these settings in, whereas if you had a professional kind of DSLR or something like that, some of your cameras do let you, which is great. But these are just kind of learning these techniques so you can experiment with them for the rest of the semester. Okay, so this one, of course, the water is moving, and you shot it at a 30th of a second, which a 30th of a second, you're not going to get a lot of motion. The rule is any 1/60th of a second is the slowest shutter speed you should actually hand hold. You can get away with a little bit less, but really you want to try to keep it at a 60th or faster when you're hand holding it. You can always set it down. You can brace it against a tree, a fence, something like that to give a little bit of steadiness to it. But with this one, it almost seems like you really are freezing the water. Someone else I saw did one that with a lot of motion in the water, so we'll kind of compare those. So a little bit longer shutter speed. And if you don't have the control with your camera, what you might have to do is just go later in the day to this spot when it's darker outside, that your camera has to let more light in to get a good exposure. Letting more light in, this will change right here. And you did do good by putting the ISO the lowest it can, but if these functions here are pretty automatic, that's the best your camera is going to do. If you can turn this number up, which we'll learn on Thursday, to a higher number, that number will go the opposite direction. That'll let less light in, that'll let more light in. Okay, so here you're, of course, freezing at a 1/60th of a second. It's freezing the motion, but I think your photo is more here than seeing all this other space around the image. Or maybe your image is really just right up in here if you get closer to it. So experiment with that. Or if this overflows a little bit, maybe those drips coming down as part of your photo. I think Liam did a fountain photo, so look at his as well and just kind of compare them. I'm not saying one's right or one's wrong, but just to see what somebody else has done with that, with water. Okay, so 2/50th of a second, you froze the dog running there. 2/50th is pretty common if you want to freeze someone running. 2/50th or faster. I try to shoot about that when I'm shooting basketball inside. If it's a really, really sunny day and you're shooting football or something, or I'm just saying like action sports, then you might even shoot faster than 2/50th of a second just because they're running really fast. And even like a dog, of course, they run really fast. My only thing here is just the background, and this week we're going to learn about depth of field, so it'd be nice just to have the dog and not the background. Or maybe had you been standing over here shooting the other way, is the other side a little bit more interesting than all these cars in the background? Okay, so here at 100th of a second, you're not really going to stop, or you're going to stop it. You're not really going to get the motion in it. So just experiment with these a little bit more, and it seems like your only little hardship with this assignment was getting motion in your water, or motion in something that is moving. So maybe just later in the day or earlier in the morning when there's just not as much light outside. If you can only complete this assignment during the day, I know on the assignment list I say don't shoot inside, but of course inside there's a lot less light. So if you need to do something inside, feel free to do it for this assignment. Okay. So good job, of course. The swing is moving, shows motion there. It looks like you set your camera possibly down on this structure here, so just be careful of that. I don't think, to me, that adds much to the photo, and that little piece of paper or something down there. Other than that, interesting photo. Both of these, they seem very ghostly, especially this one. I don't know, it almost adds like a creepiness to it or something. I don't know if you all feel the same way about it, but yeah, I like that one a lot. And of course, you completed the assignment there, because you shot at 0.6, about a half a second as well, to be able, so during that half a second they move from there to there. Had the child walked slower, you would have seen it wouldn't have been as ghostly, you wouldn't have been as transparent. And of course, if there was any question of what this figure was, I think we kind of know, especially from the feet down here, and you can see a little bit of a diaper, is the stroller. Had the stroller not been there, maybe we were kind of guessing about what that was, but I like that the stroller is positioned there. Okay, and again, of course, showing motion, and like I was saying, if you need to shoot inside to kind of complete this assignment, you can do that, 1/25th of a second. Had this number been lower, this number could have been lower to get a lot more motion. It would have just almost looked like a big circular blur there. But if that's what you wanted to get, that's a good number there. And remember, the higher that number is, the more of that grain you're going to see in the images. Okay, great. Showing the motion there. See, like here, your ISO was a lot lower. And I don't know if you manually did that or not, or if you put your ISO higher on the last one to try to get a faster shutter speed to try to stop the fan. But I don't know if you have control over that. But if you do have control over it, it's good that you're putting this number lower to get a slower shutter speed to get this. And if anything I'm saying doesn't make sense, just be patient with the class as it goes on, and it'll slowly start to click more and more. I think this one might be good in black and white because it is so close to black and white. Or I don't know. Ask some other people in the class if they like kind of that little bit of color there. Okay, so my other comment on these, you did 4 images showing motion. We need to have 2 with motion, 2 stopping something that is moving. So just for your final turn in, just pick 2 of your best motion ones, and then just get 2 more that stop motion. And between now and then, if you want to submit some stopping motion ones to me and ask me about them, I'm happy to help you with those. Okay, so let's see, was this the first one? Yeah, assignment 2. Great. It looks like you went back to that same fountain and just got almost looks like a different fountain in the way that you framed it and everything. And just getting closer to it, I think your first image had those flowers or something popping up in the front. I really like this one, how you, yeah, just the framing's really nice. And of course, shooting at 1/500th of a second, you're going to stop the water there. And in that email I sent you, I hope you're doing a little bit, like when I shot that fountain, I was in Detroit at the time. I did one with a fast shutter speed and a slow shutter speed. Then I put them in the camera when they were a lot larger. I looked at them, and I, can then pick, if I like one more than another. Good job. It looks like you worked on your panning technique. So of course he's the thing you look at. Even with these other bystanders in the background, you really barely even notice them. So good job on that one. Yeah, 20th of a second. So you basically, what you do is that guy's riding by on the bike, you keep your, framed right exactly where you want him. Slowly pan with him, hit the shutter, and keep panning that entire time. So yeah, good work on that one. My only little thing, maybe feels a little bit closer, but other than that, good job, because he is very, yeah, pretty sharp on him. Funny expression too, like how he's on his cell phone as he's riding his bike, taking his groceries or delivery somewhere. Good job. Okay, so yeah, here you've got the motion in the fountain, different position on the fountain. Yeah, good job on that one. And I'm assuming you've probably tried that one in black and white since you did that first one as well. So you must have liked it in color better. Okay, and then yeah, freezing at 1/2500th of a second, so very, very fast. At that speed, you can almost like stop a bird's wings or a hummingbird's wings. I almost wish, it's a small thing, that he was looking more off this way in profile, so you would then start to look where that fly line's going to go. But yeah, good, you're using that rule of thirds and everything. Yeah, nothing else. I think somebody in one of their critiques might have commented, cut this down, try it and see if you like it. The reflection isn't bad for me. I almost wonder what it would have looked like had the reflection, you see his whole body down into the bottom of it. And maybe different time of day might have been a little bit more interesting, but it's nice that you have the blue in the sky as well. So good job on that one. Something else you could try, if this is one of your friends and you're going to go fishing again, try like a different angle. So not just eye level, shoot from down here, or be on the other side, whether it's a real cast or not. Have him cast at you if he's pretty accurate with it, and like get really low and have him land that fly almost right in front of you. Especially with this depth of field assignment, this week might work really well where the fly's in focus and he's out of focus, or vice versa. Okay, good job on those. Okay, so I'll just go through these briefly. Yeah, good fireworks assignment, or extra credit on that. I really like it. I like this one a lot. It almost just looked like a flower. These are really hard. When there's a lot of fireworks going off in the exact same place, it blows out like that. And then you get all this smoke, which is never very pretty. But I like that you get this part in the foreground as well. Fireworks aren't very easy. I took a bunch of fireworks photos this weekend, and none of them are ones that I'd almost want to show anybody. But learn from your mistakes. Okay, good expression on the girl's face. With this week, we're talking about depth of field. My only thing is, I wish she was pretty much almost the only thing that was in focus and not this back here. I love the angle on this. When I was talking about that fly fishing photo, you know, an angle like this, like get your camera right down at the water, just because it's not normally a way that you look at stuff. You know, everyone stands at eye level. They don't normally lay on the ground or climb up a tree to take a photo. You know, at a 60th of a second, you know, you're freezing him. He's got a little bit of motion there. Just be aware, and you as the artist know what you're trying to do. Are you trying to show a lot of motion, or are you not trying to show motion? Her sitting there, you know, just looking at him, it like directs your eye back towards kind of the focus here. There's something about this image that I really do like. Even I'm always talk about not having power lines in photos because it dates it. Sometimes it makes it look ugly. But this one, especially with the color, kind of grittiness of these containers back there, you know, there's just something kind of, I don't know, backwoods America about it or something, especially kind of with this angle. You know, I always talk about straightening your horizon lines, but I wouldn't really change much about this. The kind of, on my screen, it has a kind of dirty yellowishy tint. I think it works with this one. So I don't know much I would change about it. You can maybe try it in black and white, but because that is so, you know, red, white, and blue pop, we'd probably lose that. You know, later in the class or something, you know, we might talk about if you wanted to Photoshop everything else black and white and maybe leave that in color just for kind of an artsy spin on it. But yeah, I don't think I would do much to that one. Okay, so here's a good example. Okay, so 1/25th of a second of getting that nice motion in the water that I think we lacked on one of the images earlier of water. So good work with that one. And sometimes if it's a very sunny day and there's sun hitting your water, you can't get motion in the water. They do make neutral density filters, and it's basically a gray filter that goes on your lens, and depending on what camera you have, they might not make them for it, but it's a gray filter that goes on that basically keeps some light out, so you can shoot at a lot slower shutter speed even on a sunny day, so you can get those motion things. Landscape photographers will have those in their kit for reasons just like that when they're shooting water. Okay, so this one, of course, these geese look really angry. They're flying away. You froze them in motion. These are blown out down here, and it might just be because the sun's hitting everybody, but they're a different color, so they're good exposure, and they're blown out. I tried to look at this, you know, if you were to crop it, and I don't think a crop would really do any good there. So, I don't know, maybe try again. There's just a lot going on. I almost wish this was the photo with a nice green background versus all this other stuff going on. But just something little. Of course, that guy's moving. You froze him. I don't know if you cropped in a lot, but it looks a little gritty or grainy. So just think of that, maybe a little bit of contrast. I was wondering what this is up there. I don't know if it's something on the road or if it was accidentally something that fell into the photo, but I thought maybe if you want to get rid of that, a nice crop over here, make it a long rectangle, might turn out really nice. Okay. This one, great motion, 4-second long exposure that you got there. So for that person, I don't know if it was sparklers or it almost looks like that fire that's on a chain that people swing around. Yeah, nicely done with that one. You could do a series of these. I think would be a cool kind of abstract thing if you were to do a series of them. Say if this is somebody you know, I'd have them wear all black so they don't show up as much. So you're just getting more of the fire, and then just, you know, nobody in the background. Because of course, that person's wearing something darker, so the light's not reflecting off of it as much as it is the person's legs. Good motion one. I think on your first assignment you did some water as well, and the color was a little off. The same thing here. I think your color is a little off, and you can, if you want, just see the difference real quick. Okay, so that's your color. What I'm talking about is if you just change it just a little bit and warm it up, see how those greens really start to pop and look like real greens versus that kind of thing. But of course, you're the artist. It's your decision on how you want to do this. That's my only kind of comment on that one, but good job getting the motion there. This one, I wasn't really sure, you know, a 30th of a second, it's not enough to stop motion or not enough to get a lot of motion in it. I don't know if you were trying to, just think about that with that image. And then also it looks like this is your last one, so I only saw 3. If I'm just missing one, let me know, or at least for your final turn-in date, make sure you get that in. I'm running up to my 15-minute mark for this, so let me know if you have any questions about the critique, and good work on these, and your new assignment will be tomorrow.